This has 140, 19, ooh. Oh, 120484, okay. Order? Are we on? Let's go ahead and call to order the first meeting of the Select Board, Town of Belgrade, for the year 2025. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have a full board here, so that's easy to establish for. We don't need to worry about that. When we start our meeting, we always have a period of time where for open comment. So if there are folks that have something they'd like to bring to the attention of the board, this would be the time to make those comments. As a general rule, we keep the conversation short, and if it's something that we need to act on, we go ahead and get it ready and put it on the next meeting or the next meeting that makes sense. So with that in mind, is there anyone that has any public comment today? No. Anyone online with public comment? Okay. So, I move we open the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I vote yes. Actually, I should have done that before the public comment, but that's okay. The first order of business is to go ahead and review the minutes for the December 17th meeting. I had reviewed them. I had one point that I just think we need to clarify. On page 1, under public comment, Sarah Leggett at our last meeting updated us on the RSU and the one of the funding caps that's going to be will be involved in changing. And it reads, it was suggested to return the overage to the town to the next budget cycle, which would reduce the cost of the town of Belgrade. It can be the RSU has 3 years to return that money. Whether they do it all in one budget cycle or whether they stagger it over the 3. So that has not been decided. And I just wanted to clarify that, so someone didn't come back and look at the minutes and said, oh, we're supposed to get all of it. We will get it. It's a question whether, how the RSU decides to and quote, return the money. They'll return it by reducing. They're not gonna write us a big check, but by reducing our bill. So I just wanted to clarify that point, which other than that, I didn't have anything else in the minutes. Did anyone else have anything?
I had something very minor on page 3 under other business. Where we talk about the finance committee meeting.
Oh,
There's a strike through for other board. It was replaced with select board, but that strike through for other board that can just go out.
anything else that we have? If not, I move we approve the minutes as noted.
Second.
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. Okay. We usually start with unfinished business. However, we do have Dwight Doughty here from Maine DOT. And out of respect for the fact that he usually has a day job and is here tonight, I would move that we take his presentation out of order so that we can not have him sit through all of our business. So I suppose we need to vote on that. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Dan, you're on. I mean, Dan, Dwight, right name.
This is special, thank you. Well, tonight, just want to quickly provide an update on the Lincoln's Cove issues. Just by way of background, we have two well claims in that area at, I think 102 Pickens Cove Road and 116. Both properties are relatively small, and both currently have bedrock wells that are impacted with salt. Our initial objective was try to find some shallow wells at those locations. We drilled one well. The geology was just not conducive to putting a well there, and that quickly became evident, as well as the water quality. So, we had to circle back around to what we originally had thought about doing, was putting in treatment systems, whole house RO units. The quandary at both those locations, they are small lots, properties close to the lake, with small, limited, interior footprints to put a system. A treatment system this size, requires about a 6x8, footprint. And so to do that, we're gonna have to construct bump outs or additions to both houses, both properties, which will also require heating to house those treatment systems, because water tends to freeze this time of year. And so we did solicit some estimates, and we forwarded those estimates to you folks earlier. And it's expensive. We're looking at about $140,000 complete with the bulk properties. That's treatment systems, the construction of the insulated bump outs, as well as settlement agreements, which we offer for 15 years for increase in electricity and maintenance of the systems.
Those are just gonna, so Dwight, does that cover, like, once the initial system is set up, the homeowner then has to purchase the salt for that system, correct?
Yep.
So that settlement covers that for 15 years?
Yeah, so these systems, you have to have good water to make clean water. And so it's a treatment train. So we'll put in a water softener. Perhaps we may have to adjust the pH as well. And then you push that water through the reverse osmosis membrane. And so the membranes have to be changed out on an annual, probably every 2 years. Usually they'll tell you 2 to 4 years. We're finding we've got quite a few of these across the state that a 2-year window is where you got to change the membranes.
Now, is there anything that we do, Dwight, to make sure that once those systems are put in place, that those steps are being taken? I mean, what if we were to put a system in, we pay them the settlement, and then they don't follow up with the routine maintenance?
Fortunately, we've never experienced that. We do have settlement agreements that releases the town as well as DOT from any further obligations. If the systems do fail, and we've had some warranty issues, where we do go back and replace those. So, yeah, it's up to, there's nothing to prevent their homeowner from taking the settlement and buying a new pickup truck.
Used to got that, right?
Be a cheap truck, but I can find you, I can find you one. I can find you a nice used one. I didn't.
Dan?
How does that work if you put it into the house and then 3 years later, the homeowner sells the property? Is that a transferable thing, or is it's at that point that's
Yep.
just done?
It's our understanding, I'm not an attorney, I'm a hydrogeologist, but it's our. Similar to the well claims we have out here in the triangle, a couple of properties have sold. And the well claim goes with the property.
Okay.
And actually, we found it in some locations, it's an asset, particularly here in Pinkham's Cove, we're not only treating the salt, but there's naturally occurring arsenic that's above the regulatory threshold, so those will be removed as well. So it's an enhancement to the overall water quality of the house.
So once these are done, then we should be done unless something major happens, am I correct? The settlement
Yes,
really,
for these two properties, I will caution you, we've experienced several others in that Pinkham's Cove area, so there potential exists for.
Just kidding, Dwight.
okay. Does anyone have any other questions for Dwight? What are you looking at first?
Well, we'd like to move
Implementation
forward.
date.
If we get approval from you guys for buy-in, we'd like to kind of yabba dabba do quickly because, one of the property owners is in Florida and we'd like to get the start, going before they come back if possible. The
Mhm.
other will work, she is a bus driver for the community and, we can work around her schedule as well. We do have some paperwork that we hopefully can get some assistance from the town. The local paperwork, building permits and the like. I think we talked to the code enforcement officer, I think we've got adequate footage
Okay,
to expand both locations without, requesting a waiver.
okay. Everyone comfortable with where we're at? Or as comfortable as we can be with where we're at?
Yeah.
As I was reviewing the book, I thought, which money do we still have in our well settlement account? Because we. may-
Well, contamination remediation,
Yeah,
385,
what is it?
385.
385. Is that gonna be enough?
Well, so this is a 50-50 split, so,
Yeah.
I tend to round up, so we're looking, I think the estimate I sent was around 276, so round up to 300, that's about 150 each, to settle those two claims.
It's two.
Yeah.
So if we had 4 more claims, we could be essentially out.
You're breaking up, I can't hear you.
So, yeah, okay. I was like, I'm talking now, so I was like, hang on, put my finger on this.
Yeah, as I said, we resolved a couple of them back in the 2011, 2012, 13 timeframe. Was the first time we worked together down there.
I can say this.
Okay.
So if we get some feedback from you guys sooner rather than later, do you appreciate it? Also, we do have a quick update on the triangle area. We're at the 60% design. I hope to be a little bit further along, but we're having some troubles with our water treatment company. This little chemical called PFAS has caused a little bit of business for them.
Oh.
So they've been right out straight, and so we're trying to push them. The design of the distribution system is probably ahead of that 60%. It's unfortunately, the treatment aspect is a little bit behind. And if you recall up there, we have arsenic that we got to address. So, and that's the only issue that we've found with it.
Just ask one more quick question.
Sure, absolutely.
The property that's been sitting while the folks are going to Florida, would. I know we had that issue with, the one up here behind the town office, once it's set, the levels increased. If that happens, would we run them for a bit before we, just questioning, like, if we do the determination, is there like a set level that it would drop it down? So could it potentially drop it too low? If the concentration is too high because the well has been sitting and not been utilized? Or with a reverse osmosis system, is it this level is too high, this amount just levels you out no matter what the level is?
Yeah, what the goal is to remove all the arsenic and the salt.
Okay.
So to get into the weeds and the chemistry, there's arsenic 3 and arsenic 5. You're trying to treat the arsenic 5, so. Arsenic 3 is, no, okay, it's okay for you, but.
Not great.
Not large doses.
The goal is, 10 is parts per billion is the threshold, and, what we're seeing in the properties in Pinkham's Cove is in the 20 to 30 range. We're also seeing that at the water supply well for the water district. So it's pretty consistent throughout this area.
Okay.
So if you live in Pinkham's Cove, you got arsenic.
Okay. Do we want a motion?
Yep.
Okay.
I move that we, approve or that we commit to. What do we want to do? Approve the, and this is just an estimate, but approve
Approve the-
approve that the town commits to up to $150,000 to resolve these
Mhm.
two properties.
I'll second that.
Okay, anyone want, does that motion work for everyone? Up to 150? Otherwise, we have to come back and talk about it.
I think, do we just want to put the addresses in there?
I was gonna say.
Or
Okay, of 101 Pinkham's Cove and 110 Pinkham's Cove.
Yeah.
one or two.
It's one of.
Sorry, 102.
And it should be 116, that was,
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, okay,
so 102 and 116?
102 and 116.
Okay,
Rather than messing with the number, why don't we just approve our portion of the job? We're gonna start the job, if the job goes over, we're gonna have to come back and mess it around again.
right.
Thank you, because.
Okay.
half.
We're unsure, you know, the corrosion associated with the salt, we know that some heating systems have been compromised, and we understand some of the appliances as well, so those variables can, and our approach is, if it's a high quality faucet, we're not gonna replace it. Faucet, we're gonna, our vendors and our plumbers that we work with are very good and reasonable, and they know comparable pieces to replace.
Okay. Okay, so then, I would move that we amend the motion to approve the town's commitment to pay half of the cost at 102 Pinkham's Cove and 116 Pinkham's Cove to remediate the salt. To remediate the salt, period.
In the wells.
Maybe just to remediate the well concerns, because there's some.
Arsenic.
Arsenic.
Okay, to remediate water concerns.
All right, I'll second
You'll
that.
second that one, okay, so let's vote on the amendment. All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Melanie, I'll vote yes. And so now we'll vote on the revised amendment itself. All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Thank you, Dwight.
Thank you.
We'll circle back around and chat about the local paperwork and
Okay,
start getting things going, moving forward.
okay, thank you.
I'm sure the homeowners would be very
Very
relieved.
appreciative.
if they go in. Thank you.
We'll be getting a lot of phone calls from Florida.
You might have to go down there to get some signatures. Huh? Okay, so, I move we now go back to unfinished business.
Second.
Okay, the first thing up is the Historical Society storage at North Belgrade Community Center and the Center for All Seasons for the draft lease agreement. Lorna?
So you discussed this at your last meeting and there were some questions about adding the two different locations, so Center for All Seasons and the North Belgrade Community Center under the same agreement, which certainly we could do. There were some questions that were answered at the last meeting about storage space for the Senior Resources Committee, which we would be all set with. The History House agreement, I didn't do anything with that.
Yeah, that one's in place.
Whatever you decide, this does have to, I did check with Phil, this does have to go to voters. Because we have no authority to lease town property without voter approval, so it will have to go on
Okay.
the town meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question. Is it okay to ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Something might have gotten lost in the shuffle including both buildings in the lease. Under use and occupancy, it says, unless the town agrees otherwise in writing, the Historical Society shall use and occupy the premises only for storage of Historical Society items. And that probably has to do with the basement of North Belgrade, but that doesn't have to do with the Center for All Seasons, so that needs to be.
Right, I had made a
Right.
note there as well that the North Belgrade will only be used for storage in the basement of North Belgrade. But the space we're occupying currently in the Center for All Seasons is used for research and meeting with people who want to come in and displays what space we can, put them up on and that type of stuff. So I did notice that wording needed to
Yeah,
change.
so we'll need to rework the wording for,
And I can send, I don't know if I know I sent Mona some info today, but I don't know if I didn't address that, so I can send you some, Mona, if you'd like me to.
Sure, that would be great.
The other part, while I have you.
okay,
Under the premises lease, it
Yeah.
had said one room at the Center for All Seasons.
Right.
And I'm not arguing that space, but I've been told anyways, because I was not involved when we moved there. But that room and the adjacent room, was built and paid for with a donation from the Cobb family in memory of their sons who died here in town. And, there's no recognition of that on that room. There's a little plaque on the door that has their names and their date of birth, their year of birth and the year, I've had people refer to it as the Cobb Memorial Room to me, and I was like, what do you mean? And then that's when it was explained to me. So, and this is my personal feeling, but if I give you a lot of money for a memorial, I'd like to have it recognized. So I think we should refer to it as the Cobb Memorial Area or something like that. And that could be listed in the lease. And the other thing that I have in mind is for the Historical Society to do some kind of plaque or something that would just be more prominent that this was
okay.
a
Well,
memorial.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first question is the agreement itself. So with that correction about the use, is there anything else that needs to be discussed?
Page 2. Top of the page, I'm assuming that means before the earlier or commencement of the term. Because I don't understand before the earlier of commencement of the term.
Oh, before the earlier of commencement of the term or occupancy of the premises. Whichever is earlier, the commencement of the term of the lease or the occupancy. So those might take place at different times. That's how I read it.
So what if we say before commencement of the term or occupancy? Because I think that before the earlier of. Seems kind of
Well, because I think
not.
they might be occupying the premises before we get the,
I should have that for you within a week or so. I've worked on the insurance and it.
I mean, this has to go to town meeting, so,
Right, exactly, so.
Just the way it's worded,
Mhm.
okay.
because we're already, the historical society is already utilizing. this
It's already
space
in one of the
used in
buildings,
the
yeah.
library.
Okay,
Oh, that's true.
okay, so those are the two areas that need to be firmed up, and then we'll get to bring it back to the board to vote on it again. Yeah, and then I think the Cobb Memorial piece for me, that makes sense, but I think we should put it in a proposal form so we can look at it, find out what they donated and make sure.
And I don't have
Right.
history on it, that's just what my board has told me.
So we make sure that we're appropriate in what we're doing.
I know I did find some notes as I was going through things that they were notified that the Historical Society was going to move in there when the library moved out. And Mrs. Cobb was fine. She was like, oh, that's great. That's a good thing for that room. So I don't know if there's any.
Actually,
she's-
may I say? So,
Yeah.
Mary Vogel. Anyway, I just want to make a statement. So that room was donated $30,000 by the Cobb family for the purpose of a library. And actually, when the Historical Society moved in, Mrs. Cobb was actually deceased. So, there have been a lot of things that have gone on over time. But I just want to make that note that space, and I think it would be a good thing for it to be noted with a plaque that space was donated by the Cobb family. And I know that Pam Cobb and Cassie Cobb are still alive, and they would remember that donation because it was made on behalf of their brother who passed away by both Phil and Betty Cobb. So, but I wanted to clear that up a little bit that
And
and
Mary, now that you mention it, I think the notes I found, because they were from Nan Marriage, mentioned Pam Cobb had been
Right.
notified. Yeah,
Right.
so that would make sense, okay.
Okay, all right.
Any other comments? Did you? Yes.
The room we're just talking about in question is the one they're currently occupied, because I heard Sharon say 2 rooms, so I didn't know. We're only talking about leasing the room they're
The
in.
room they're occupying, yeah.
And just one more note that I see in the contract, it goes from January 1st, 2025. So it is contingent upon the warrant article for town meeting. So possibly it should say March 15th, 2025, or if it's secret ballot referendum, March 14th, 2025. I noticed that in the
Right.
contract agreement, because it is contingent on that approval of town meeting and the legislative body.
Well, it probably should be from town meeting this year till town meeting next year. So they
Correct.
don't have 2-3 days, right?
Yes.
So we get that covered because it would be voted on again at the next meeting. Okay. Anything else to be looked at? Okay, so I move we table the rest of the discussion on this until we get the agreement completed and come back to the board.
I'm used to being tabled.
Somebody want to second that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melody, and I'll vote yes. Okay, thank you, Sharon.
No, you are.
Okay. The next item is the Library Board of Trustees ordinance change request.
So at the last meeting, you all discussed this, and I think Bruce is the one who, was able to locate the cemetery ordinance. And, what you all had asked for was, consistent language throughout the ordinances, with regard to meetings. So we did get that information, and you see that updated language, in your binder for consideration. I know Jared, you've looked at that, and everybody on your end was.
Yeah, it's what we're looking for.
Okay. Any discussion from the board?
That looks fine.
Okay. I move we approve the wording on the library ordinance change request.
Should we read it out loud into the minutes?
Do what?
Should we read this into the minutes?
We probably should read into the minutes. So the library reviewed, discussed and tabled from the December 17th meeting. The new wording is meetings. The library board of trustees shall meet once a quarter. The board chair may also call a meeting at any time during the year as needed. The board chair is responsible for working with the town office staff to ensure agendas are publicly posted and shall notify all members of the date, time, and location of the meeting. Meetings must be conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Dan, all in favor?
Yes.
Dan, Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so we have that one check mark off our list. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jared.
Okay,
The Zooms.
the next item under unfinished business is the foreclosure list. Is that you or Mary presenting?
Mary, do you want to discuss that?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that we had one name, we got it down to one family that was on the list. They did provide backup information. There's been a lot of changes in the family, and I know that 3 of them are present on Zoom to speak to the back taxes. So I would make a recommendation as the tax collector that, we move forward. Just because the rules regarding, foreclosures now have changed significantly. and would be quite a burden to the town of Belgrade to have to even foreclose. And we have never foreclosed on anybody. We've always tried to work with the family. So it's my recommendation to move forward with their decision. And I know that they are looking to pay the taxes.
Okay. So am I correct that technically this was foreclosed on because that happened on December 27th?
Yes, the town technically owns it.
Technically owns
Yes.
it, but, so it's really a discussion of the town making it available to be repurchased or be taken out of foreclosure. By the payment of back taxes.
Correct.
Okay, which, I certainly support, but is there anyone from the family, I know you're online, that wants
Yes,
to speak? Just speak?
yes, hi,
Okay.
I'm the power of attorney for my mother, Vicky Minadeo. I'm also on the deed for the property. She, is suffering from dementia and now lives in a memory care unit. I can pay the taxes, I just didn't know about them until now, till our neighbor called us in Belgrade.
Okay. Just for the record, that this is Jennifer
Correct.
Minaday? Okay, we
Yes.
just have to get it in the record, okay. Um. So. The amount due is 3 years of taxes plus any fees that we have incurred. So we'll have to get an exact figure on that.
I think, Mary, you gave a figure as of January 10.
Yeah, I did give a figure. So historically, only 1 year has been paid. And so it is the board's decision. In the past, they have asked for all 3 years to be paid up to date in full. And
Right.
and I've talked to several of the family members. They've been very responsive after I've been able to make contact with them. And that was a difficult part. We now have a new address to send those letters to. And I think
Okay,
they're going to Jennifer. So they have said they would be very responsive. So it's up to the board. Either they ask for that year that puts them in foreclosure, or they ask for all 3 years, which I don't have that paperwork in front of me right now, but I believe it was around $10,000 for all 3 years.
right. The document that we have, as of January 10th is $10,419.49. So, Jennifer, are you looking to pay the entire tax bill at this time? Is that what the family's wishing to do?
Yes, we could do that.
Okay.
Okay, the only other
Anybody?
thing that I would say is no personal checks, bank check only. They can pay by credit card, but there is a 2.5% interest. And historically, we have done no personal checks just for safety purposes.
Okay. So today is the 7th. So if the check is, as long as we receive it by Friday, the amount would be the $10,419.49. That's what you provided on the sheet, Mary.
Yeah,
Is that
I
correct?
don't have that. Yeah, for some reason, I don't have that sheet in front of me. So,
Okay.
I mean, I can touch base with them on Thursday.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Can I just make sure that so the town technically owns the property as of now. According to the law, it says the municipal officers may not even sell property back to the former owner without authority from the legislative body or applicable ordinance or charter provision. So with this, Mary, we essentially be selling the property back to them for the amount of taxes that are currently due.
So I'm not sure what you're looking at because that isn't anything that we have historically done in the past. Historically, it is the board's decision. We don't have an ordinance, we don't have a charter, and we do have a warrant article that authorizes the board to address these kind of issues. So I'm not sure where all this information was pulled from, but that historically has not been what we have done. It doesn't go to legislative body.
Um, I would move that we allow the, family to, purchase the property back. For the amount of back taxes and any fees that are incurred.
Well, second, but I have a question.
Okay, that's good.
I'll second.
Together, discussion going.
So, if that's the case, will the family know what those other fees might be? Because as of this moment, it's only one value, and that's 3 years of taxes, which is listed on the document.
Mary will touch.
3
We're
years
done.
of taxes, which includes the lien cost and interest costs. So it includes all fees.
Hmm.
Do we have to re-register the property under their name because it was legally foreclosed on and now
No,
it's gonna come?
because she legally still owns it. She owns it, even though, I'm not sure if there is a change with the family and, they may want something through a banking institution. But right now, this will satisfy everything if they pay all the cost, because we have no additional cost.
Okay, that was my
Okay.
question.
Yes.
So,
$10,419.49 is the total.
Provided it's paid by the 10th of January.
and technically, it sounds like Mary said that the family still owns the property. So they would not be repurchasing it. They would just be taking steps to take it out of what we called foreclosure. Is really what's happening.
Is really what's happening.
I believe.
My understanding was that the way that our ordinance or whatever our policy is reads is that if they're 3 years in arrears of taxes as of that date, the end of in December, that the town owns the property. So they would not be the owners of the property, the town would own.
So technically, yeah, the town does own the property. However, we do have a warrant article, and you can go back and look at that authorizes the board to enter into agreements for the disposal of property or to arrange a payment arrangement for that property. Yeah,
Is that that's not a perpetuity article.
it may be a perpetuity article. I don't have my book in front of me here at home, Lorna, but yeah.
But there's been nothing that's done with the county or anything to change the ownership.
We haven't yet put it in
No.
our name, so then we
Right,
don't
so,
yet have to
so
take it
if
out
they
of.
pay the taxes, then,
If
We
they
should
pay
be
the
fine.
taxes, then we're forgiving everything.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so the date that we have is as of 1/10/2024.
I think Mary calculated it ahead,
Yeah, she did.
so they would have,
But 2024, this was as of a year ago.
2024.
So there's, huh?
Probably a typo.
Let's find out.
It's a typo.
It's a typo? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Because it says 1/10/2024 down at the bottom of the page.
All the annual reports from here are gone, all the annual reports from out front are gone, but there's one left in the building. It was like running around, like, there's the one.
So the perpetuity article is not in the last town report. perpetuity articles are in 3 reports back. I think it was 22.
Okay,
So. For
I mean,
future reference, I think the perpetuity articles should be included in the annual report every year. But we don't know what the perpetuity articles are, when the board make up changes.
And so we ran out of pages. So they have been printed for 2 years because we're actually over the number of pages for our cost.
okay, so, if you are confident that we have the right to do this, then,
I am confident we have the right to do this and that the Board of Select Persons have the right to do this.
okay. So, let's see, we do have a motion on the floor.
And it was seconded, then we had
And
discussion, right?
Okay,
And it sounds like after further discussion, we actually do own it. We haven't taken steps to go to the Kennebec County Registry of Deeds. So all that step and paperwork, that cost's not part of it. It's just making the town whole with taxes
Yes.
okay,
and fees that we described.
okay.
I agree.
Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
As long as we can do it, I just wanna make sure that we cross the Ts and dot the Is, so we're not back here.
Yeah,
Doing that again.
and I would
Cross-
vote yes. I'm sorry, Mary?
Just gonna say we crossed the T's and dotted the I's. So,
Thank you, Mary, for all the work to get this to us.
Okay. Any questions from the family? Mary will be in, or, oh, you're not here tomorrow, are you, Mary? The office is closed tomorrow, so you'd be in contact with them on Thursday, or they should call you on Thursday?
I'll be in contact on Thursday.
Okay. And
Okay.
you have, is it, Jennifer? You're the one that she should be contacting?
You're on mute.
Yes, this is Nicole Minadeo. She can either contact me or my sister Jennifer.
Okay. Mary, you have contact information, correct?
Yes, I do now. Thank you.
Okay, all
But
right.
if we have, do you have the amount? They have the amount, they could get the. bank
They
check
could
off?
overnight a check, yeah.
We do have the amount, and I want to say thank you very much for doing this because we were very worried to lose our childhood home.
Well, the very last thing we want to do is to take anyone's childhood home, and we always work our best to come out with an agreement that satisfies the town, but also is respectful of that. So we're glad we were able to make this happen for you.
Thank you, we'll pay it back.
Well, thank you, and
Okay.
we will make sure we get our payment in.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That takes care of unfinished business. Under new business. We've done Peakham's Cove well. The next one is 457 deferred compensation plan match request. Lorna?
That's here. So we have, if you remember, we used to have just the 457 deferred compensation plan as a retirement plan. We had a special state retirement plan for fire and rescue. The board did discuss and agreed to implement or make available state retirement for the rest of town employees. The current deferred compensation plan contribution rate is 5%. When we took the state retirement warrant article to town meeting in 2024, we did get approval for that, so that has been implemented. All employees do have the opportunity to join state retirement. You do not have to buy back years. If you have money, you can do that, of course, but you don't have to in order to participate. So right now, I think we have 8, I think I put that in there, 8 or 9 folks, 8 employees who participate in state retirement. That has an employer contribution. Right now, it's 9.9%. It fluctuates and it's set by the state. And we have one employee who participates with a matching contribution from the town, in the 457. Again, that match is 5%.
Okay,
So there's a request to, for that one, participant to increase the match from the town, from the 5% to the 9.9 or whatever the state retirement match is.
okay, so now there's a discrepancy. But the employee has the ability to open a plan to freeze the one they have, for lack of a better term, and open a new one in main PERS at the 9.9 rate. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay, so may I speak? Because this is for myself. Because of my age, I decided to continue with the 457 plan. And it is an investment plan. So, but I am only being matched at 5%, which I do not feel is fair and equal straight across the board, because employees that chose the main PERS plan, and it was optional, and I chose not to continue. I did speak to an investment person. I did speak to my accountant, and it was recommended to me that I should continue to stay in my 457 plan. What I feel is not fair and equal and equitable straight across the board is that those employees in the main PERS are receiving a 9.9% match, while I am only receiving a 5% match. And what I am requesting is that I am allowed to receive the same match equally that those main PERS individuals, which that's not an investment plan with main PERS. It's a plan. Mine is an investment plan, and that is what I'm asking for, is to receive that 9.9 match, to be fair, straight across the board, to all employees. And yes, it was my choice. And yes, I do have a choice to enter into the other and to leave my 457, but that is not, the main PERS is not an investment plan.
Now, good question. I've been trying to do some thinking about this in discussions about a week ago. Most of the people on main PERS no longer have social security taken out of them, right?
I still have
Depends
social
on-
security.
some
Yeah,
have
we
to.
still,
Okay.
because,
Must be
because,
the way we have it set up here. Most
Because-
places don't.
right, Town of Belgrade we are one of the municipalities that has a special agreement, so we get both social security and state retirement.
Okay, that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure.
Yeah. Bruce,
oh, Ruth,
So I always fight for the employees. What's fair for one person should be fair for the other person. So you guys should be matching that same amount regardless if they're in main state retirement or if they're in the 457. That's my, you shouldn't be punishing one person because they only got a few years left for retirement. It's not worth them to join perks when they only have 3 or 4 years left before retirement. It's not, because in perks, 5 years is really before it even starts to help you at all.
Right, 5 years is your investment, is your you become vested. I do not plan on the 5 years.
don't want to stay with us forever, Mary?
Okay, I'm not gonna be here till I'm 80 like Charlene.
So, so I think it should be fair across the board.
Okay,
I agree with that.
I do as well.
Yeah.
So,
That's kind of why when we started talking about this, I said that I think new employees, it should be mandatory to go to main PERS. at that
It is.
point.
yeah, it is. You
That's why I
decided
wanted,
that
that's
last
what,
year.
we don't have this
Yeah.
constantly going back and forth.
right.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem. Is it only one employee that's off? Is it just Mary, or are there
That's
other
only
employees?
myself. Yes.
everybody else joined main PERS, they kept, those who were with the 457 kept it. And I believe are still contributing, but they don't get a matching contribution.
And so because the match from main PERS changes, so should the match from the town be contingent on the same
It
match
should be.
that
Going to
main
change
PERS
that.
is offering?
That's my recommendation.
That's what I was just gonna
It
say.
would have to be the same.
If we're gonna be fair, it should be the same match.
As long as we just set this and just do it for this one employee and don't have to go back and revisit this.
Well, no, you're not offering the 457 to anybody
Right.
else now.
Right.
Yeah, you already made that decision in 2024, so, yeah.
I just don't want somebody who's got main PERS now, to all of a sudden go, no, I've decided I don't want to be main PERS. I want to go back, you know? You know,
Right.
so.
Can anybody go back at this point?
No.
I don't know why you would.
I don't know if you can, but
Even if you could, it'd be mighty painful. wouldn't it? I mean,
I think so.
I think you could do it, but I think
I
once
think
you
you
do it,
could.
you can't go back the other way.
Yeah.
If you opt out, you can't opt back in.
that's right.
I mean, you could,
Get out of main
right,
PERS,
you
you can't
could
get back in.
probably stop with main PERS and go back to
To the Social
your
Security.
457, but
So.
that would be
I mean,
pointless.
I'm fine.
Okay, you're fine with just the one. Okay. So, motion?
So I make a motion that the town of Belgrade increases the by the, no,
457?
yeah,
457,
I request that the town increase, or that the town matches the percentage that we're matching for the main PERS for any employees in the town that have the 457 plan.
Yeah, the employer
The
contribution.
employer country, I was like, it is not coming to me, and I know it, like, what I'm trying to say, but the words are like, nope.
Yeah, I had one of those earlier, it's okay.
Yeah.
100%.
Is there a second?
not if it's gonna say any employees.
Well,
I
Okay.
said any employee affected, but that's a current participant of the 457 plan.
Well,
you have several people who are
we have several
participating
people who are
in it though.
participating in it.
So
They're
you
just
only
not
have one
matching.
who's getting a match.
Okay.
So
so-
it should change to,
The one employee.
The
and
employee.
since we didn't second the motion,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can.
Right.
adjust.
Or-
What Danny said. The employee.
We should provide the same,
Let's
the same match amount, whether you're in a 457 plan or the main PERS.
But that amount will be based on the main
Main
PERS
PERS.
Employer contribution.
percentage.
The employer contribution to main PERS. Do you have that now? Do you have that down,
Anybody want
Lorna?
to read that back?
Who can read that back?
No, I've got a motion, Town of Belgrade matches the main PERS contribution rate to the 457 plan participant.
Yeah.
That means just one. Would that work?
At the same level.
Well,
Matching.
you're matching the rate, so
Match-
whatever the rate for main
Matching the
PERS is.
employer contribution.
Employer
Yes.
contribution rates will be the same for.
So
main
if main
PERS
one,
and the
because main PERS
457
will go to
employer
10.2
compensation.
July 1. So then the 457 rate should increase to 10.2 July 1.
Correct.
Thank you.
So
Okay, so we have the
Haven't
motion.
voted on it yet.
We can't get the wording right yet. Okay,
But it sounds like we've got the concepts that for each. I don't wanna say. I better shut up. Yeah, nothing.
No, and-
We're matching the main PERS amount for the employee that is not part of main PERS and is only on the 4.
That's
right. Right, that's
So
what,
that's basically all we're doing.
right.
For
and if
the-
main,
because
and
they're
if
not
main
involved.
PERS goes down to 3%. For some reason, we would be matching at 3%.
Correct.
Right.
I mean, it's one and done.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think we got
Got it.
what Dan said was really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Say
So-
it again.
Probably couldn't say
They
it again.
can't
So we don't have a second yet.
watch the video.
I'll second, I'll second whatever this is.
No, you made the
Which we
motion.
haven't, oh, that's right.
Are you guys
You
voting?
can't
I
second.
can't
second my-
second him.
So after much discussion, I will second that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Are we discussed out?
I think so.
Okay, all in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. Okay,
Okay, now
And
you're
the
welcome.
good, and the good news is the federal government just eliminated the windfall
Yes.
yeah,
of people.
Yes.
okay. Next item is committee appointments and resignations, in which there are no new appointments for committees and no resignations. Just read into the record that Lorna, as town manager, has done the annual appointment of our animal control officer, Jeffrey Worthing, for the following year, for 2025.
And it says, any changes to the contract, or is the contract the same as it was last year?
He's not really a contracted employee. He's not a contract. He's an employee according to Ian Freeman.
So our agreement that we have is
He's an employee.
he's employee.
Yeah, like everybody else.
Okay, all right. Moving right on, we've got warrant articles, they're gonna take a little. Is there, should we maybe go to the sale program? Where we have people here?
Yeah.
Sure. If no one has any objection, I'd like to jump over warrant articles and go to the sale program review and discussions, to be respectful of your times, for those of you who are here from the, to present. So who's the presenter? I see 4 faces.
Yeah. I mean, we can kind of do it in conjunction.
Yeah.
So the Board of Parks and Rec met with Andrew Dallas. When was it? Last meeting was in December, couple weeks ago, yeah. And I gave us an overview of the sailing program. The sail main is no longer involved in the sailing program, and the yacht club is interested in the town taking it over. Which would include the sale of all the assets for $1. We would be taking over the basically the assets, the insurance, and taking over the program. It's all in your packet as far as the costs and everything. We agreed as a board to support it as long as the budget could support it, and as long as there were funds for, because the town would have to front some of those funds with the expectation of the registration fees covering those costs. So as everyone knows, registrations are the unknown. We don't know if you're gonna get 1, 2, 3, or the full amount of registrations to cover the program. We did support it, although the board is in discussions about the summer camp programs. With every organization that's occupying Space Center for All Seasons, and this using Camp Loon, we're working with Kristen to look at the numbers for summer camp. Last year was excessive. We're not going to do that again. We have some concerns about those amounts, so we're probably going to be reducing the amount of kids at the summer camp. So I just want everybody to be cognitive that we're going to be looking at that, the numbers for safety wise, staffing wise, and just, you know, number of kids in that building. 86 kids, I believe. Was it 86 or 82?
Yeah, they were running high at 82.
82 kids last year was just too much that the building could handle.
That's at one time, there were 82 there.
There was 82 registered, so there was some days yes, some days no.
Okay, yeah,
So we are looking at that. We're gonna look at, you know, a process for registrations and a process for, you know, obviously, Belgrade residents would come first and that type of thing. So we
Right.
are looking at that. This program, the expectation is that we'd be down in Camp Loon. We'd have to look at, you know, that. But any programming that could come for the kids in the summer, we support. One thing that we did have discussions about is that if the town is gonna have some skin in the game into this, that there might be, and we're gonna be paying something out of our budget or anything, that we would have a lower rate possibly for Belgrade residents than other residents, because now the town, this will be a town program and town funding. So those are things that are still being discussed. We overall, like I said, we support the program. We'd like to see if there anything for the kids is great. It's a program that's been running for years and has had great reviews. That's kind of just my take on it and what we've talked about. I can let Andrew fill in the gaps on everything else, but.
I had, do you mind if I said?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I had forwarded Lorna the floating assets report, so I had asked the Dallases after our last meeting, because I was kind of coming in like second to the conversation. I believe the total was about $60,000 in floating assets, but we'd be purchasing those for $1 a piece with the understanding that they would be able to be sold back to the sale program if the rec department didn't feel that it worked in our favor after this year. We asked for a maintenance report. It was pretty straight across the board. It seemed like all of the boats were in good to great condition with at least 5 years on them before they needed any major maintenance. And in that original forma document, it stated exactly what was going to be needed. I think there was a budget in there for $350. The question came up. Lorna had asked about the counselor cost in there because there was 2 counselors that were budgeted in that original presentation. One, the head counselor was for $6,000. The assistant counselor was for $3,000. Lorna was concerned based on what we pay staff. So we went back to the Dallases and clarification was given that it's quite a difficult certification to receive in order to be able to run the program. So it just requires those 2 counselors, but their education is what we're paying for. I believe we discussed the cost to start the program. There was a $10,000 miscellaneous line that Lorna and I looked at. You could potentially move, as she had asked, $7,500 to get the program started. You know, keep us afloat. The revenue at the end, I think, if I'm not misspeaking, Jamie, was a little more than $4,000 by the time we're done. And we have been able to secure 6 scholarships through the Union Church.
So that miscellaneous line was one that I had asked about.
I think you may have asked and Lorna asked me, and I was coming in a bit late, but it was a $10,000 miscellaneous.
So
she
it wasn't earmarked for anything?
It was earmarked as miscellaneous, so because that was me coming in after.
Okay.
But we had looked at it, and we didn't see anywhere else that it's there to start. Yeah,
So my understanding, talking around, I think at miscellaneous, and somebody can say I'm speaking wrong, I think miscellaneous was put in for future programming. For, where it was that $10,000
Things were coming up.
So we had money.
Yeah, last year.
Right, so
that
we
was
had
done.
money
Yeah.
to add programming if need be.
And that's what I recall also having those conversations with Dan. Was, and I think this was one of those programs that he had in mind when the equipment. So we fully support the program. Like I said, we were just concerned about the cost. We were concerned about the space. And we were concerned about if the town was going to be putting some money towards this, if we could see a reduced rate. And then the other question was kind of what the historic enrollment is. And from what we've been reassured, it's been pretty full, right, every year.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a 6-week program, correct?
That's correct.
A 6-week program, 12 kids per week, 6 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon. So that puts 12 times 6 weeks, so you're at 72 enrolled. Program fees are $275. Like I said, if we end up funding this and it works out, you know, those are discussions we could have with the board of Parks and Rec and figure something out.
Okay.
registration would fall on us. So we've been discussing that with the Dallases. It would be a registration process similar to Camp Golden Pond in the past. And we're looking into streamlining that process with some software that maybe would help. But we're just in the process of pricing right now, rather than pushing papers and trying to keep it organized. There's lots of programs out there that can help us with that.
And the program we run in conjunction with the yacht club.
Well, the,
Because we don't know anything about boats.
Andrew, did you, oh, sorry. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
JD, Kristen, thank you very much for your support on this. Yeah, historically, this has been a great program. It gets terrific reviews from the kids and from the parents. Obviously, it brings more people into the town. It leverages the Center for All Seasons for what it really is supposed to be for, which is community activities and particularly supporting kids. The Great Pond Yacht Club has supported Sail Maine for the past 10 years running this program. And really, Sail Maine, this was the last satellite program that Sail Maine was running. And they liked having us, but they don't want to be in the business of supporting remote camps. So they've asked us to take it over. We find that the numbers work out better if the town owns the program The insurance is far less if the town pays for the insurance. I think that Lorna, you came up with a number. Of
Yeah, it's
1,500.
between 13 and 1,500
Mm.
a year.
And that really helps to make the program run at a net profit. It's small profit, but it's still a net profit. The other thing is that over 60% of the students in the classes are local kids. They're not just summer kids, and we're very, very proud about that. We like to recruit from local teachers, et cetera, for the counselor programs. The teacher that we had last year is unfortunately going to be leaving the state, so he's not going to be back this next year. Recruiting for the counselors has been something that the GPYC, the Great Pond Yacht Club, has participated in very actively, usually starting in November. So we're getting a little bit of a late start right now. And it does take people that know how to sail. It takes people that know how to sail to maintain the equipment as well. And thankfully, the GPYC has a lot of talented people with a lot of years of experience that give adult program training as well in their own boats. So I'm hoping you're going to support it. Dan Lashing and GPYC group were working on this for almost 2 years before Dan left. But we felt we were right on the fringe of getting it done. Sounds like we ended up being a miscellaneous line in the budget, which I'm grateful for. But I think it's a great program, and GPYC will continue to support it in the way that we have with volunteer days to help maintain the camp. You know, the grounds around it, we clean up, we clean the camp itself, we set up the boats. We're recruiting students for this. I'm hoping that the town will help us recruit students for it with a link from the website perhaps, or on the Center for All Seasons pages. But I think it's a great program. So happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Dan?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
the boats, do those come in on the beach, or we're gonna put in some kind of dock system?
So there's a floating dock system that's already, well, down there. It's right now it's in the stream, but we put in mooring chains last year, brand new mooring chains to hold it in place. That floating dock is basically held to the shore with one ramp system that goes down to it, and then the boats themselves reside for the summer on top of that floating dock.
And you said it's in the stream, is it getting moved like Camp Balloon? or-
We move it in the spring and in the fall.
Okay,
It's actually a nice system there.
And
It's actually a
the
lot of
boats are
fun.
at Camp Boone right now.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a rack system that are all vertically stored. They're UV safe plastic, so we determined that they don't even need to be wrapped. We just pull them out, stick them in the wrap, strap them in, put the rigging inside of the old snack shack that's down there where we have lots of bins. And put the masts underneath the camp, that's very nicely.
And the yacht club would continue to do that.
Yeah, happy to help out with it. I think it's an important program.
Barbara, you had a question?
Yeah, I had a question about the reduced tuition for Belgrade residents. Do we already do that for the summer camp?
We did,
For
yes.
the day camp?
Yes, I believe it's $85 a week for residents, and I think 125, I'd have to look for non-residents.
And Andrew and I had talked about the pricing of the program, because comparatively in other places, the program runs much higher. So they had said here it would run higher at probably 300 a week if it was a non-resident, and perhaps we could look at that 265 or 270 for a resident. It's not a huge reduction in rate, but if you compare it to other programs in New England, it is quite a
It is,
discount.
yeah.
And some places are charging upwards of like $500 for the
And
same.
there is 6
And what
scholarships.
if parents or grandparents, say grandparents are Belgrade residents, do their grandchildren get the discount? I'm sure that's a question that's gonna come up. I don't know what
They do not.
I'm not sure.
I don't think we do that for the summer camp.
Okay,
I think
okay.
it's just the parents.
Just the
Unless
families,
it's
just
legal.
year-round residents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we were doing it
Yeah,
evenly.
Even,
Yes.
yeah, I think it's the same, we follow the same policies. I'd have to look at as we do for rental in the facility
Okay,
for, yeah.
thank you.
anyone else have any questions? Okay, so, are you looking for us to approve this, what, a vote to move forward? Is that what you're looking
To
for?
utilize that miscellaneous, the funds to front any costs. In theory, it'll all come back, but in the event that it
Right.
doesn't, we want the approval to utilize this.
So I move that we, what are we doing now? We authorize the, or we accept the offer of the Great Pond Yacht Club to, assist in the running of a sail program for youth at the Center for All Seasons.
We'd have to approve the purchase of the boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And use our miscellaneous budget line if we need to for that purpose. that get it all?
I think it does. So I'll second that.
You'll second that, okay. Phew. Any more discussion?
So before we go any further, so the team that did the presentation, have we missed anything?
I don't think you've missed anything. We just need to approve to purchase the boats as well, so then we can get the insurance on them, because the
Right.
insurance
Yeah, that's
has been
in there.
paid for currently
Right,
until May, and then it needs to go under.
So what we've just
So this, if.
had a motion and
Yeah.
second, not yet voted.
Yeah, we've got a
Would get
motion
us to that.
to authorize or accept the offer from Great Pond Yacht Club for the sale program at Center for All Seasons and purchase boats and to use miscellaneous line if needed for that purpose.
I think the rest of it administratively, we can handle.
administratively.
Yeah.
So this would enable you to do what you need to do.
And we're doing this on a 1-year trial
Yes.
to see what happens.
Well, what we would really like to do is, we have a committee that oversees the program, even when Salmaine was running it. And we'd like to continue to do that. I think it provides a lot of value. And we would like the buyback offer, if for some reason we feel the Center for All Seasons is not providing a good program, educational program, we'd like the ability to buy the boats back and run the camp ourselves.
Right.
We have great faith that we have common interests here. I think we're all looking for the same thing, and that we can help make sure this program is successful.
Yeah, when you get that agreement together, we'll just have to vote to approve it, but you should have a buyback to protect yourselves,
Thank you.
right?
Yes, if you guys.
Would it make
Yeah,
sense?
we have-
for us
we
to
have an
do it
initial
as a
draft.
lease with the intention to purchase? So we would lease the equipment for a dollar per piece and
I'm
then.
not sure how the insurance would cover on that. I think it's cleaner if you buy it and then they have first
They
option.
verify we have to own them in order to insure
Yeah.
them, so we can't.
A lease would
And
not
it's a
allow.
dollar
us to
per
insure.
item.
Dollar per boat,
Because
yeah.
here it looks like a dollar for the whole package.
I believe it was a dollar per boat.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So if it's $9,
Yeah.
we're good.
When it comes back, we can figure that part out.
That's in the purchase
Okay.
agreement.
All in favor of approving to move ahead with the program? Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. Okay,
thank you.
okay, so we have Mr. Linville.
I do not see him.
If he's
On
not
Zoom.
on, then let's go ahead and go back to warrant articles. If he might be coming in a little later. I don't know. That makes sense?
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Yes, you too.
See you.
Yes, you too.
Okay,
Mary, you were in contact with Mr. Lindvall. Do you
Yes.
know if
He did not indicate that he would be present for the discussion. I would just advise the board to move forward on his request. I do not, this would set a precedence, I do
Mhm.
want to say, and I do not support it.
So we can keep with the original warrant articles as next.
right, we can just go
Yeah.
back to warrant articles and then we'll
Yep.
come to Mr. Linville.
Yep.
Okay. So, warrant articles, we need to go through
Mhm.
the warrant articles that need to get onto the the secret ballot. As I think all of you know, there's been a lot of discussion, some of it on Facebook and so on, about secret ballot. One question I have, is it possible to call it a written ballot instead of a secret ballot? Only that secret sounds like we're trying to
Keep it secret.
hide in the
Well,
back room. I don't know.
The secret ballot, I don't think is official. It's a referendum, correct, Mary?
In the MMA, it calls it secret ballot.
Yeah,
MMA.
I think it's just
Refer
called
to
secret
the
ballot
secret.
because it's done, in the booth.
In the booth, yeah.
Okay,
You don't
all
have to
right.
hold your hand up at town meetings, so anybody else can see how you're
Good, so
voting.
it's secret, okay, so, we can start through, I guess I would say as we start here, in looking at these, in the past, we've, gone through like Article 7, the special, funding, articles. And then we have in the, I guess, in the last year, ordinances that were also done on the secret ballot, although we're not required to. And then there are some other articles that we could put on the floor. And I guess what I'm suggesting at this point as we go through this is that we go back to putting on the secret ballot, the funding articles, those 5 or 6 that are there. And so like Article 1 through 7, and then the rest of them we can discuss, but I think when we get there, that we look at those to go on the floor. So I might as well tell you what I'm thinking ahead of time, and then won't surprise everyone when we get there. Bruce?
So. I guess, one of the articles, which I'm not against, is like Article 4. I think that should be on the floor, so that could be discussed, explained. To the taxpayers, and one, it has the opportunity to be amended or so on and so forth. I kind of agree with. I think everything used to be on the floor. And, we've already done away with half the stuff that we used to vote at secret ballot, the library budget, the rec budget, all that's already gone away. Why don't we just do everything on the floor? You just show up for secret ballot, you vote for, select persons and that stuff and everything else, it was, I read that same letter that you 5 board members got. And, I kind of in agreements with it. I've kind of argued this now for the last 2 years or 3 years. And I just think it should be on the floor. Everything should be on the floor. That would probably bring a few more people to the town meeting. We are a form of government by town meeting, and I think we should act that way. And having some of these articles, nobody can make amendments to it or ask questions, they're just voting and it's like, yeah, okay, let's vote. Well, Article 4 is a very important part of the town of Belgrade. These waters are very important to our taxes,
Right.
You can lower them, you just.
Right.
You
You
can't
can't
increase them.
Right, but
No, well, only if it's on the floor of town meeting.
only if it's on the floor of town
If
meeting.
it's secret, you can't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is, I think a lot of people would like to have Seven Lakes Alliance explain, okay, this is why, we're asking for money for here, this and that, Penny and I both have interest in the Belgrade Stream. I mean, and,
Belgrade Stream is actually part of Friends of Maslonsky.
I know.
Just so you know.
but
I'm just,
yeah, you know that, but the taxpayers don't know that, So there's a bunch of taxpayers on the Belgrade Stream would like to know, well, what are we doing with the mill on the Belgrade Stream? That's, I guess that's part of it. I mean, some of these, the same ones that come through year after year. But I just think it should be explained. It puts the organizations responsible to answer questions at town meeting to taxpayers. They always did before when it was there.
This came
Yeah.
to, when we had the budget and select board meetings all at one time, every member every organization had somebody there representing it, and then they came to town meeting.
is it done town meeting or budget meeting? Is it budget meeting when they did it? That we did last
They
year?
used to come before us for the budget.
Budget,
meeting.
it used to be at town meeting to
First
answer
started
questions.
this, They would come to town meeting to answer questions. And then what happened is this stuff used to be on the floor of town meeting. And then eventually the petition stuff got put on the same secret ballot. Because we had the library and the rec center and in an effort to get people stuff to come and vote for, all those petition articles went onto that same secret ballot, but they don't have to.
No, and I don't
You can
think,
do it all on the floor of town.
Right,
meeting.
I mean, 'cause we
One and done.
we require them to do a petition
But
anyways.
that's not why they got me secret ballot. I got moved to secret ballot before I became on the select board because we had somebody had petitioned the town that wanted all of the social service stuff on secret ballot.
Right.
But
So
the
then we just
petitions
don't-
only
they
good
just-
For 1 year.
Right, but then the select board just allowed it to continue because they didn't wanna go back and have them every year do this same petition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have a question about, the electing the town officers, the select board and the school board. Would that have to be done, would that be the only, if everything else moves to secret ballot, moves to the floor, would that be the only item that would be on the voting for the entire day on Friday? And how many people are gonna come if there's just,
And
if
that's what,
if
that's how,
that's all that's being
that's how it
voted?
used to be. I mean, it was like that. I mean, I've been involved in this since I was 13 years old, so.
Do we have to vote for those positions though prior to town meeting, or can it be when folks show up, the first thing they
So,
do is vote?
Some,
Right.
some
And then
towns,
they go sit for
right.
the-
Right, it would be a secret, it would still be a secret
Secret
ballot, but it could be right
right.
as people come in, they would get their ballot for those positions.
So some towns do that. They have like 8 to noon or 8 to 1. The day of town meeting, you vote for your select person, school board. That is, I do know towns do that. I wanna say Sydney does it, but don't quote me on that.
Well, the social service type stuff, the Article 4, other groups that have asked for money, I would think that they would prefer that not be on a secret ballot. Because I would think they would want to be able to come defend their cause.
Well, I can tell you my own personal experience. I think it was the very first town meeting that I ever attended, which was in the late eighties. And I was just curious. I asked the question as to what is this money being used for from one of the social service agencies, which I would have supported. And there was no one there to answer the question, and so it got voted down.
Well,
So, you know, so I felt really bad for that. They
Okay.
called them that next week and said, I'm really sorry that, you know, I asked the question in all innocence, and so you didn't get your money, so you know, you really better be there next year.
had somebody there, right? Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's their responsibility to have somebody at that.
If we're gonna put it on the floor, then it would be their responsibility to have someone.
Yeah.
there.
But or risk having it voted down.
Right. I mean, technically, they should have somebody here tonight, because I can tell you right now, every one of these social services, since there's nobody here to represent them, I'm gonna vote no.
So because this is a draft. And this is not, they were not asked to be there this evening. They will be there historically, we have been doing the social service agencies, because like Dan said, because of the petition that came forward, because there were people in town that didn't believe that 100 people should decide where their tax dollars are going to be spent. So anyway, so those people do show up for the public hearing as they're required to do. And they have showed up every year since I've been back anyway. And they showed up previously every year since these social service agencies have gone to secret ballot warrant. They show up for the public hearing. They don't show up for town meeting because they're not required to, because it is secret ballot. They can't speak. So that's why they're not there tonight, because this is a draft to finalize these tonight on what's going to be on the secret ballot.
So we're voting as the select person and as a budget committee we approve, you know, we agree or approve to send this to the voters. Yes, we're in favor of this, or no, we're not. If nobody's here to explain it to us, if we have a question on this, why am I gonna vote, you know, because they should be here. They've always have been here in the past. The last couple of years it hasn't. I don't understand why. Anytime I've been through budget meetings for years.
They've been here on Zoom.
Yeah.
They have
Here.
been.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
they
the
were
public
not
hearing,
asked to be
but
here tonight.
We're voting on this tonight, I'm assuming.
If we don't ask them to come,
Right.
why would they assume when they look at our agenda,
That they needed to
this
be here.
doesn't show?
I mean, that,
Right.
to me, that's not a fair judgment.
When we used to have our budget day,
Right.
we required them to come in, just like we retired had the department heads come in.
Correct.
We told the social services, this is when you're scheduled, if you wanna come in and talk. That's what we used to do.
That is correct.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm just listening to all this, so we expect the townspeople, if they wanna know about these, to go to a public hearing prior to town meeting. So they know about what's on the secret ballots,
Or they,
and then we expect them to go to town meeting.
Exactly.
And I'm just trying to figure out what the draw to go to town meeting is for, if I've already gone to something a week before and all I have to do is go and vote. And that's just my reaction to all of this, I don't, you
There's a
know.
lot more at town meeting than, than just these.
Right, but I
Then-
just,
then-
you know, and I would also say that especially on Article 4, if somebody doesn't explain where this money is being used and the costs and so forth, you will have more people voting against it. Because it's a lot of money. I would, and I know people who would just say, I'm not
I
gonna
was
give
gonna say, I
anything.
know, last year, Mary, you maybe can help me out. We had what? 450 or so people that were voted on the secret ballot items.
Yeah,
Know
about
that range?
about four
And
fifty. So actually, it was a bigger turnout than what we had at town meeting, because town meeting, we had 120 or less. So you get more people
And
on the
the
secret
Lakes
ballot.
bills always pass. And
It
pass.
I don't expect that it won't, but I'm just saying, you know, if
I hear what you're
you know,
saying.
without any explanation.
Well, it was a
Well-
big jump to them from 25 to 60, and they had requested that it be on the floor of town meeting so that they could explain that and didn't put it there.
But there are also,
Oh,
people who should have stopped going to town meeting because they feel they have no voice. If they're against any proposal, they're poo-pooed. You do have that problem.
But
People don't like to stand up and be singled out as opposing it.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
but the biggest thing is. But, town of Belgrade is our former government is a former town meeting. Town meeting, you should be voting on all your budgetary stuff, and even probably some of these. Ordinances should be voted on, at town meeting, so people can ask questions and this and that, 'cause
Well, that's what I was suggesting, is that the ordinances, which are
But
not dollar social
Right.
figure.
I can tell you, as a chair of the budget committee, with nobody here to answer any questions, and if we're voting this to send this to secret ballot tonight. As a budget committee, me as a chair, I'm voting no, and I will explain that at town meeting why I voted no, is because there was nobody here.
But we didn't tell them to be here.
It doesn't matter, we should have told them to be there, then we should table all this to another night, that's what I'm getting at.
So here's the scoop. If we table this to another night, we have to have another meeting before the 14th, because these have
I
to
know.
be ready for the 14th. The only obligation the only way that we could circumvent that tonight is to agree to move all of this to the floor of town meeting. Then we don't have to finalize any of this stuff tonight. We can finalize it at the same time that we finalize the rest of the warrant articles that are gonna go into the annual report, and that's our official warrant. If we do it that way, then you have a public hearing on the warrant articles, then you invite those folks to show up. So we can vote on it later. We can invite them to participate.
Well, see,
We
if you
tell
go-
them we're gonna be discussing.
If we go to the floor, right, so if it goes to the floor, they can come and discuss their stuff when we vote, five persons in favor. Or budget committee in favor.
Yeah, we could do it that way. We could, when we agree to move the articles forward, we could take the vote at that time. And I wouldn't have a problem extending an invitation to them if we wanted them to come when we're doing that.
No, I think if
discussion.
it's gonna be done on the floor, someone should be there to represent it.
Right, but I don't
And-
think we should penalize them for them not being here tonight.
No,
It's just like
I-
anybody
right.
else is on the agenda that we don't tell them they're on the agenda. Nobody else is.
It's not fair.
Belgrade site.
That's not fair.
Hey, the agenda's up.
But it's not fair to me as a taxpayer and as a chair of this committee. To vote that I'm in favor of it when I can't ask a single question about it. That's why when we had the all-day budget day. We had this all dealt with, and I think we need to go back to dragging these budgets out for weeks and weeks.
Okay, well,
That's a different
that's
discussion.
a different discussion.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what we're gonna do here, because
Okay, I have a question related to this, which is I looked through just the last 3 years of warrants. And there are ordinances, like in the year ending 2021, so this would have been for town meeting in 22, on the secret ballot. There was the subdivision ordinance, amendments to the Board of Appeals ordinance, the amendments to the commercial development review ordinance. So, there is a history of putting ordinances on the secret ballot. So, and there's a lot of argument to be made for putting it on the floor. So I'm just saying that we do have a history in recent years of having ordinances, the cemetery ordinance.
Yeah, it's kind of, some ordinances have been, some ordinances haven't been, you're right, you're 100% right, I agree with you.
But I think if there's an argument to be made, if you want to make the argument for putting the Seven Lakes Alliance money on the floor, then all the other social services have
That's
to
what
be
I'm
on,
saying.
have to be on the floor. You
Right.
can't just do one. You can't say, oh, okay, we're gonna have a discussion about this one because it's a large amount of money, but we're not gonna have a discussion about the others.
That's what I was getting at, all of them should be on there, I'm just saying, that's one big dollar figure that, I feel that a taxpayer should have the opportunity at the floor to decrease it if they choose to.
Yeah.
I ain't,
So-
I ain't saying that, I'm in support of that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to ask the question, okay, what are they doing on the Belgrade Street? And Joe Kennedy like that, It's,
So another point to consider is that if we move all of this to the floor, then we're talking about extending the time for the
Yes.
town meeting. And so is that going to encourage people to come because now they can discuss these things? Or is that going to discourage people because it means that it's going to take another, half hour out of their Saturday?
probably more than a half hour.
I don't think it's gonna discourage people, because, most people, when they go to town meeting, they go town meeting, I mean, we've been kind of fortunate in this town, that our town meetings have been really short, because you go to Mount Vernon, you go to other towns, and they're still hours and hours and hours at them.
But why is that?
Well-
Because they discuss the pros and the cons, and they don't just, rubber stamp everything. And at our town meeting, they do, everything goes through.
Well, it's because we're not discussing everything, if we have everything on the floor and you get your taxpayers there, everybody,
The taxpayers don't come, the ones that are gonna vote against it don't come.
that's their choice, they don't come, then they got no right about.
Okay, so
budget.
a concern I have is if all this goes to the floor and we don't do the voting for select board and school board separately, then we will have 100 people make all those decisions. If we vote it have Friday voting, we get 450, 400 to 500. And that, I have a problem with, I have a problem with a lot of it being done.
I honestly, this year, on the secret ballot stuff, I don't think you're gonna get 450 people. Because you look at how many vote on the school budget. Our largest budget in this town, and look how many people vote on that.
But historically, that's been the
Yeah.
situation.
But historically, until COVID, prior to COVID, that secret ballot days was only 200 people, 250.
That's still more than a ten.
It's still twice as many people.
It is.
But I also think
funny.
if it's all on the floor of town meeting, would more people participate?
Exactly.
If that's
It's-
your only option to vote.
It's funny, when I started on this board, and Bruce Fluid was on this board, the argument was just the opposite. He fought every year tooth and nail to have everything put on secret ballot, so more people would vote on it.
Right.
And I always fought against that, I mean, I don't have a problem with the compromise we've had. With the social service stuff going on secret ballot. Because it cleans it up and gets rid of some of the stuff that's just gonna take up time, that most of it you're not gonna have any big fight on.
Right, I mean, the only thing I agree with most of these articles that are on secret ballot, it's just that one for the Seven Lakes Alliance is a big dollar figure, and everybody knows that everybody is gonna vote on that, it's gonna show up to a public meeting, public hearing. You're gonna have 4 people. I mean, that's, You have 4 people show up to public, that's what you're talking about.
My theory is back a few years ago, Laura, I just had her look it up because a lot of those petitions used to come in and said that they wanted it on secret ballot or the town floor.
Yeah,
If they want to be put on the town floor, they should write on their petition to be put on the town floor.
I don't think we can,
Yeah,
we can't add anything to the petitions now.
No, you can't.
No.
Okay, so,
So it's our determination, but oh,
I guess my feeling on this is we've had this compromise situation that has worked for the last 4, 5, 6 years at least. That I think taking all of it to the floor is a larger discussion. I'm a little uncomfortable doing it here in 20 minutes or a half hour. That maybe we need to do a survey on the day we have the written ballot, if we go back to doing it this way and having a survey. Are you in favor of having all of this in the town floor next year? And then hopefully we'd have 400 or 500 opinions.
Hand them out both days. Hand the survey out both days.
Right. So, yes, I put them up both days, so that we really have not 12 of us here making a decision that's a big change from what we've had in the past. And if we had this discussion in December, then we would have had time to maybe to get some other opinions. So that's just how I feel. Is we're so far down the road that if we do the social services, the ordinances and the rest of this, I would say put on the floor. But do the social services like we have. And so we go through Article 7 and then 8, 9, 10, 11, and all the rest of them go on the floor for discussion.
Right.
And because I think the one on the property tax assistance ordinance is gonna take some discussion.
See, and I'm gonna vote against it because I prefer to see the ordinance stay on secret ballot because the budgets for departments are good for a year.
Mhm.
You put an ordinance in there, and if it's voted on by 100 people, it's not just good for a year,
Right,
so.
Yeah.
So that's why the ordinances have been on the
That's what,
state ballot.
that's why,
I think that's why we got pushed to try to get more votes.
to get more votes in. Well, I agree. I mean, I
And
think
so-
we
I
need to-
agree with that on the ordinance.
okay,
Mary has.
Mary? Yeah,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
just gonna say, and the ordinances could take up potentially a lot of discussion, a real lot of discussion. Because for the example, the shoreland zoning ordinance, that's 60 pages. And while there may only be a couple of areas, a few areas, that discussion could be extensive and
Yes, it
could take up a
You're
lot of
good.
time just by itself. Because there are a few amendments. So I see putting ordinances on the floor of the town meeting to extend the town meeting 2 to 3 hours anyway. There's a lot of information, the senior work or the senior ordinance, that's extensive. So my personal opinion is people need to take the time to educate themselves, and we need to get the information out there to them as well. And I firmly believe that ordinances should remain by secret ballot. Social services, I think those should remain by secret ballot also, only because we do get a larger population of people because those ballots are ready 30 days prior to the election. Some people are not able to make it to the town meeting because they do work on Saturdays. So which eliminates them from even being able to participate, but at least they get to participate on that small level. We do put the ordinances out there. They're available everywhere. It's so hard to get people, to get the voters to, everybody's busy in their lives these days with children, with work, everything. It's hard to get people to the town meeting. It's easier to get people to the polls. And the biggest thing is about our education to the people about what the ordinance changes are. But I firmly believe that they should stay secret ballot.
Okay, so I'm gonna make oh, go ahead.
Just one other thing, also bear in mind, anything you put on the town meeting, if you want to discuss it, it could bite you in the butt. So all it takes is two people. One to stand up and say, I want to move this article, and somebody else to second it.
Right.
And then the discussion is closed and you're voting on it.
Mhm.
But doesn't it take 2/3? I think it takes 2/3 of a majority to vote on that, to move the article.
Okay, so.
Takes majority.
so
Yeah.
So I'm gonna step out on a limb here. I move that we put Article 1 through 11, that's social services and ordinances, on the secret ballot. And we put Articles 12 through 15 on the floor.
Question, wait, before that gets, I would question Article 14. I think that might be handled with a survey rather than a secret ballot vote. That's the one about changing the fiscal year.
Oh, yes, that I think we can do with a survey.
I think
Yeah.
that when we had talked about that, we had talked about having it more as a survey
Survey,
than having it as a vote, because it is the select
Right.
board's
it is our
right,
decision
it's our
to make.
decision to do that, so.
I totally agree of having it as an article and have like the voters vote on it, not to select, not five. You guys just talking about a few people making a decision, put something on the floor to be voted on. Now you're talking about changing the fiscal year and only having 5 people make that decision? I think that needs to go to the voters and let the voters decide on it, not 5 people.
I have always said that. And this is the third time it's come up.
What's the impact on the voters if you change them?
Well, there's
You
a
get
lot
tax
to it,
bills on
Sharon. And it affects folks who have like their property taxes escrowed in with their mortgage stuff, as it does affect that, because it's set amount. So then you have to figure that in for the next 6 months. So there are pluses and minuses to both sides. But it's big, and I don't see doing this.
Right.
It is
Right.
the
It's the
same
same amount.
I was gonna say, so you're not
It's the same amount of
No,
money.
right?
No, it's the same amount of money, it's just.
It's the same amount of money, and the advantage.
And you have to work through a transition,
No.
so we would have to have a transition period that would work with people that escrow. Maybe we bill taxes every 6 months, I don't know, but there's a way to make it work. But it does tie us in better with the school budget and the county budget, and it helps with the TAM.
Right,
Right?
it doesn't affect your escrow all that much, because what happens
No.
is,
And you know,
when
it
your
just
bill,
makes more sense.
when your bill comes out in the fall,
Yeah,
you've escrowed all year for that. You're gonna get another bill for a half a year
right,
at the beginning of the year or whenever it's gonna be, but you're escrowing from that point all the way to
That's right.
then anyway.
yeah.
So,
it's
so I can tell you that 2 people on the budget committee that voted to send this to you guys. I was under our assumption that it was going to the voters.
I think you should go.
Well, the only thing
Okay,
is,
so my motion still sits there. Does anyone want to second it or come up with a different motion? Because we can beat this dead horse all night.
I'll second it.
You'll second it, okay.
And that I'm seconding going from Article 1
1
to
through 11,
11 on secret ballot
right,
and 12 through 15 on the floor.
would be on the
Or
floor.
is that a separate vote?
No, that I put into my motion,
Fine,
not realizing it,
I'll second
what I
that.
was doing.
Isn't 15 technically a social service?
I'm sorry,
Isn't 15 technically considered as the social service, the
into an agreement.
historical
accountability.
society? It's a town department, it's like anything else.
Okay, so 501c3.
Right, so we would probably want to go back and see when we made the agreement with the Belgrade Home Food Pantry, and I believe we did do that under social service, and I know that Jack Sutton was adamant that if we're gonna provide that service at some sort of a cost to the town as a donation, that he wanted a monetary number in there to show what our donation would be. I think saying with any cost to be negotiated, kind of silly.
I mean, Article 15 could be considered, but it's not necessary.
We could move it. We could move Article 15, make it Article 12.
We could do that.
But then we have to have that, then we have to have that language worked out
by the 14th, right?
by tonight, because we're voting on it tonight. So does this
The
language
of the
work?
contract.
No,
Oh, just the language of the warrant. Okay, sorry.
Language of the warrant.
Right, sorry,
Which is
sorry.
good.
Okay,
So,
so if we move article, and if we move the first 11 plus the library article, his
15.
15. Does that answer everybody's
well,
concern?
why does Article 12 need to be done secret ballot? Why wouldn't we?
No, well, we were gonna make Article 15, Article 12.
Right, so but where's Article 12?
So 12 would go on the floor.
Yes,
Now
I think that's.
What's now 12? So it's gonna be the first 11 plus Article 15. And if that's our pleasure, I'll amend my motion.
Not 14 too. What you gonna put 14?
14 is gonna go disappear, because that's gonna be a survey.
No.
So you want 14 as
Or is
secret
it not
ballot?
gonna be a survey?
Side,
You what?
for the town side,
It's up to the voters.
You
It's
want
not
the town to
up
decide?
on
On the floor.
changing the fiscal year, I'd
Yeah.
rather let the town decide.
Okay,
And to me, I don't know which way would be
I
better,
don't-
whether
I don't-
it's secret ballot on.
Yeah, I don't care either way, just as long as the town.
Again, you're probably gonna get more people voting on whether you're gonna
Right.
change the fiscal year if you do it as a secret ballot.
okay. So then what we're taking out of these would be number 12, the Center for All Seasons,
And 13.
and 13.
And 12 becomes 15.
Well, we'll get them renumbered, but number two, the article that we look at is 12 would go on the floor,
Yeah.
right?
And 13, yeah,
And 13 would go on the floor,
14 and 15 on secret.
14 and 15 would go with the rest of them.
I can agree with them.
You look at that.
So. Is that,
Yep.
does that meet everyone? So therefore, I'll amend my motion. That Articles 1 through 11. 14 and 15. Will be voted on by secret ballot.
I'll second that.
Let's second that. So let's vote on my amendment. All in favor?
So-
Dan?
So let's make it 2 because one's automatically by law.
What?
What?
Article 1 is automatically by law.
Oh, Article 1, okay, so
Article
Article 2.
Oh, Article 2 on.
Okay, all right, so,
Let's start just.
Everybody seconded anything anyway.
Let's just
so
start over
you should
again.
just change your.
okay,
We did.
you did.
Oh.
So can you rescind your second?
I rescind my second.
Okay, so I'll restate my motion that we put Article 2 through 11. And what we're looking at is Article 14 on the budget and 15 on the secret ballot.
14 and 15 on the secret ballot.
Right, 14 and 15 on the secret ballot.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'm staying out of it.
I will second that.
Okay. Not hard work here.
Hang on just a second though. Sorry. So if we do Article 11 and we keep Article 13, would that become Article 12?
No, 13 is going on the floor.
Okay, so
Pickleball goes to the floor and the Center for All Season goes to the floor.
Article 12 and 13 to be on the
And
floor,
then, so
right?
12 and 13 go on the floor, 14 and 15 go on the secret ballot.
okay, now I'm clear.
Is everyone clear? Okay, are we ready to vote? Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. I guess I should since I made the motion.
And
Okay.
next year, tell the people with social services,
Right,
the lights people, if you wanna be on the floor. Put it in your petition,
put it in your petition, right,
you voted on the town floor.
right,
And the other thing is they need to be here when the select board is voting to approve and there's budget committee. 'cause
Yeah.
We can't.
Okay.
You got any questions there? You got questions, we can.
okay.
You've worn me out.
You gotta give it, do you want a towel to throw in?
Yeah.
Okay, so. We now have to go through these and vote on each individual article. For Mary, right? Not really for Mary, but for Mary. Okay. Article 1, we don't need to vote on, correct, Mary?
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
Article two.
so Article 2, do I need to read it into the record?
Yes.
Article 2, to proceed with the voting by secret ballot as directed by statute on the election of town officers for the ensuing years. 2 select persons to 3-year terms that expire in 2028. 1 school board member to a 3-year term expires 2028. I move we accept this article.
I will second that.
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
So
and I'll vote
you don't-
yes.
So there's no recommendation on that.
Well, there's no recommendation.
Recommendation.
No.
We just vote to accept it.
We're voting to accept them. Okay, Article 3, to proceed by voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate from taxation $1,138 for the Sexual Assault Crisis and Support Center?
This is to accept the petition.
I'm sorry,
This is to accept or
This is-
recommend.
this is to accept, yes.
Except.
So we have a,
Accept the article,
to accept the article.
The article, not the petition, right?
right?
Because you guys already accepted.
We've already
the petition,
accepted the
right,
petition.
okay.
The petition's there, yeah.
Okay.
So the select board recommendation. Dan,
Recommendation, yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. So the select board is 5 yeses. And budget committee,
Joan,
Yes.
Penny,
No,
I'm gonna go yes.
okay, so there are 2 yeses, 1 no, and
How many
2
yeses?
absent, 3 absent.
1, 2 absent. 3 absent.
Scott,
3 absent.
Scott.
I'm sorry?
We were counting heads.
Oh, okay, all right, okay,
So 2, 1, 3.
2, 1, 3, yeah. So I move we accept Article 4. To proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate from taxation $60,000 for lake protection to be dispersed to the following associations the fiscal year 2025 as follows? Belgrade Lakes Association, 24,000, Friends of Messalonsky, 19,650, Seven Lakes Allowance, 12,600, McGraw Pond Lake Association, 3,750. Noted that this was the same request as last year.
And it should be McGraw Pond Salmon Lake Association.
What'd they say?
It just says McGraw,
Oh,
McGraw Salmon. It should be
Okay.
McGraw Pond Salmon.
oh,
Lake
McGraw
Association.
Pond, I'm sorry.
I don't think we had pond on there last
Yeah,
year.
I didn't know.
Okay,
And it,
uh,
yeah, it will depend. Yeah, they do have a pond on
okay,
there.
so I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Dan?
Yes.
We're
Barbara?
accepting the article. right?
We're accepting the article.
Okay, yeah.
Well, this is the select board recommendation.
Oh, okay, so we're not accepting the article, we're recommending. Okay, yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. And then select board recommendation. Dan?
Oh, I thought that's what we just did.
No, we were accepting the article, but now we've got to have the select board recommendation.
Okay.
You didn't do it on the last one, so that's why I was. It's
Oh,
confusing.
okay,
All right, yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. That's 5 yeses. And then the committee recommendation. John?
Oh, let Bruce do it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bruce, I'm sorry.
Yes. Penny,
yes,
I'll vote yes.
So 3 yeses and 3
And
absent. Okay. Okay, and 3 absent. Okay, Article 5. I move that we accept Article 5 to proceed with voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate from taxation $1,641 to help fund spectrum generations for Belgrade residents?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. That's 5 yeses from the select board. Oh, that's to accept the article. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And now the select board recommendation. Dan?
No.
No. Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
So I will vote yes. So it's 4 yeses and 1 no.
Budget Committee. Gentlemen? Penny?
Yes.
Bruce, yes.
So what'd you say, Bruce?
3 yeses.
Three yeses,
absent.
okay, and 3 absent, okay. Moving on, I move we accept Article 6 to proceed with voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town vote to raise an appropriation from taxation $1,500 to help fund hospice volunteers of Waterville area, which provides services to the residents of Belgrade? So to accept the article, I need a second.
Second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
yes.
I say yes, so that we've accepted the article. And select board recommendation, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I vote yes, that's 5 yeses from the select board.
Budget Committee. John? Yes. Penny?
Yes.
And Bruce, yes.
So that's 3
Sure.
yeses and 3 absent,
Correct.
okay. All right, I move we accept Article 7 to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate from taxation $700 to help fund Kennebec Behavioral Health, Mental Health Services for the uninsured and underinsured residents of Belgrade?
Second,
Okay, all,
Melanie Kenneth.
all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
yes.
And I'll vote yes, that we accept the article. And then the select board recommendation should be noted, last year was $350, this year is $700, just so you have that. You're not looking at it. Select board recommendation, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that's 5 yeses.
Budget Committee. John? Penny?
No.
Bruce will vote yes. So we got two yeses, 1 no, 3 absent.
1 and 3 absent, okay. And Article 8, I move we accept Article 8 to proceed with the voting on secret ballot the following question. Shall the town approve amendments to the Belgrade Library ordinance?
I'll second that,
All in favor, Melanie,
yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that's
Okay.
passes.
So Article 8 should have a select board recommendation as well as our.
No.
No,
Because there's no
money.
money involved.
No.
Right,
This is
that's-
a select board
It should
recommendation.
have a select
Doesn't get a
board
budget.
recommendation, but not a budget committee, because it's not a monetary
okay.
article, but the select board should have a.
This is from
recommendation.
Phil.
Okay.
He took it off.
We always vote a recommendation,
For
I don't know.
ordinances?
Phil
Yeah.
took it off.
always.
So that's how I sent it out.
How's it in last year's annual report?
Looking at it right now.
Okay. I said, I see 1 over there, so.
Oh, wait, I thought you had to have it for all secret ballot. Oh, well, for all articles. But he did take it off.
We've always recommended,
Right.
done with the select board. If it doesn't have a monetary thing, then the budget.
Budget Committee don't
doesn't
do it, right?
Okay,
Okay, Article 7, this is from the 2022 annual report. Article 7, shall the town approve an update to the town cemetery ordinance? Select board recommendations.
okay,
4 yes.
okay, so we'll put it in. Okay, so we've accepted the article. Recommendation in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so there are 5 yeses. I move we accept Article number 9 to proceed with voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town approve amendments to the shoreline zoning ordinance?
Second,
All in favor, Melanie,
yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan?
We're accepting.
This is to accept the article.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Oh, a what?
Yes.
Yes, oh, okay. So there are 5 yeses, and then, all those in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan?
No.
No, I'll vote yes, so it'll be
Just a
4
couple
yeses
Things in there, I didn't.
and 1 no. Okay, Article 10.
That's gonna be a sticky one. Number 9.
I move we approve Article 10 to proceed with voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town repeal the senior volunteer work program ordinance and guidelines approved by referendum in March of 2010 and replace the ordinance by enacting the new Town of Belgrade Property Tax Assistance Ordinance?
Second,
To approve the article, Melanie, yes?
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
To accept the order, you mean,
What?
you accept them.
To accept it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so there are 5 votes to accept it, it's accepted. And then, all those in favor of that article, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so there are 5 in favor. Article 11. I move we accept Article 11. Shall the town create a special reserve fund for the purpose of funding the property tax assistance ordinance? Appropriate 25,000 to be transferred to the fund from the undesignated account and to authorize the select board to expend funds for this purpose with such appropriation contingent on the enactment of the Town of Belgrade Property Tax Assistance Ordinance.
Now, do we call it the undesignated, don't we actually call it the undesignated fund? Not the undesignated account? Fund, are we consistent with that across the thing? With the other proposed warrant articles? Do they say undesignated account or undesignated fund? We should just make the language reflective.
I've always called it fund.
Yeah, because it says account under Article 11, it says
So,
undesignated account. Rather than fund. That's the question, right? It says undesignated account, and most usually it
It should
says
be undesignated
fund.
right.
Fund, okay,
Okay,
I've always called it fund.
okay.
okay, so with that correction, is there a second to the,
The amendment on that article.
well, no one seconded it, so I'm just
Oh,
changing
okay,
it.
perfect. I'll second it.
Now you second it, okay, so all in favor of accepting the article, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. And now recommendation, from the select board on this, those in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yes.
Budget committee, Jones? Henning?
Yes.
Bruce, yes.
So there are 3
Three,
yes
three absent.
and 3 absent, okay. Now. If we keep the numbering consistent, we're gonna move what's here is to the first 2 articles to the floor. Article 12 would then become, what's printed is Article 14. So I move we accept Article 12 to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question.
Excuse me, but if those are gonna be on the floor, don't they just go into the other?
No, I thought.
Well, no,
I
because this
thought
would be
these
one of
last 2 are gonna go secret ballot.
She's just changing the number.
I'm just
She's making-
changing the number, so
So
that
14 becomes 12.
14 becomes
Okay,
12.
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
okay.
I thought we were.
To
Okay,
proceed with
got it.
voting by secret ballot on the following question, to see if the town favors a change in the town's fiscal year from the current January to December fiscal year to July 1st to June 30th fiscal year, in order for the town's fiscal year to be concurrent with that of the school district, RSU 18, and the state of Maine. This voting is a non-binding advisory vote designated to assist the select board in exercising authority to change the fiscal year pursuant to 30-A MRS subsection 5651.
That should be MRSA.
MRSA.
Oh, I said it right, but it
You
didn't,
did.
it's typed wrong.
Yeah.
MRSA, yeah. Okay. Is there a second to that article? To accepting the article?
I'll second that.
Okay,
I have a question. Do we want to add, the Kennebec County as well as, because isn't that part of the issue too? That
Oh,
we're
it's
out of
also
sync with the
the
county as well as the
the
state?
county.
Or is the county automatically in sync with the state that we don't need to mention the county?
We could say concurrent with the school district, Kennebec County and the state of Maine.
Yes.
Okay, so, let's see, the motion's been seconded, so
My second, if it was me who seconded it.
It was me.
Yeah.
I will rescind.
You rescind, okay, if you rescind that, we'll add Kennebec County after RSU 18,
We'll change to MRSA.
and now you can,
And then MRSA.
and now
yes.
you can second the,
No, I'll second that.
second that, okay. All right, all in favor of accepting Article 12, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
and I'll vote yes. And then, Article 15, as it's printed, becomes Article 13.
Oh.
So I
Okay, so
will,
we're not
Are you
going
gonna do
to.
a
You didn't do a recommendations of the board.
I think
But-
that we shouldn't do a recommendation.
I don't know if we
Yeah,
should on
because
that.
non-binding.
Non-binding.
It's not.
For
advisory.
them to.
You wanna
give us
sway
the
people or
guidance.
not?
Yeah,
Mm,
does that make sense, Bruce?
It kind of does, but now you're not following suit with the rest of the articles.
But this is asking people's
Yeah,
opinion.
this isn't an official vote. It's
This is a
basically,
non-binding vote.
it's
It's a
a
poll.
voted poll.
We're really asking them for their recommendation.
Right,
Right,
right.
Yeah,
So
and if we vote on it, then we could sway people.
right.
So it's one of those things, do you wanna sway them or?
Right.
If you feel you should.
Yes.
Okay, I move that we accept Article 13 to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town of Belgrade authorize the select board to enter into an agreement between the town and the Belgrade Historical Society for the use of space at the North Belgrade Community Center and the Center for all seasons for a 1-year lease with an option for automatic renewal without any cost to be negotiated by the select board and the Belgrade Historical Society?
So I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of accepting that article, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan?
In favor of accepting it, but what are we gonna do about what Melanie was talking about? The
I
fact
guess that was
that
my next question.
there's, we're gonna cover electrical and in-kind, basically an in-kind donation.
Right. We're just letting him use the space.
Yeah, but there should be a dollar figure on there.
Or something that
Oh, it
says
says,
for the town to cover electrical and costs associated with. Because
With any
Any
cost.
cost to be negotiated.
So this is allowing us to negotiate the cost.
Because they would pay. Right? If that's.
No,
what
we have, I
No,
think in the other one, they
doesn't
weren't.
pay.
It doesn't pay. It's just to say that we do it as an in-kind donation.
I know,
Right.
I know, but it would be, this would be the equivalent, this would be,
This would allow us to charge him in the future if something came up.
yeah.
Good.
Okay, so that's 5 yeses. And do we need a recommendation on this? We do.
Yeah.
All in favor, Melanie?
I'm in favor of it, but I think that's convoluted. I don't know if we maybe can tidy it up with saying,
Well, let's get the recommendation, then we can go back. So you're in favor of? Or do
So
you
it's
wanna?
it's the same warrant article as it was for the food pantry. And when we had the one for the food pantry, it was communicated that the cost of electrical and all that would be considered a donation during the public hearing.
Yes.
It's the same
Yeah.
exact article. I took the same
Is-
wording.
okay, so, because what I was going to say was that we had cleaned that up with saying that any costs associated for heat, electricity would be a donation from the town. I felt like we'd cleaned that up a little bit, and I know Jack had asked for something monetary, because he wanted dollar amounts in there.
Did the other warrant article have that, Mary?
The other warrant article did not have that. It's the same exact warrant article, switching out the Belgrade Historical Society. So, and Melanie, I remember all of that, but it was communicated during the public hearing that the cost would be considered a donation, and those costs were provided through a spreadsheet of what they would be. We can
Right, but this language doesn't say that, Mary. This says that it cost would be negotiated.
Which
Mary
leaves
said-
it
Mary
open.
saying- You said the same
We
thing.
negotiated a 0.
Okay, I'm all right with that then.
Okay, in favor, yeah, Melanie,
Yes.
yeah, Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes. 5 yeses. And budget, we don't need a budget recommendation.
Mm,
Okay,
well, we do, it's monetary, there's gonna be a cost to the town.
True.
So
Oh,
it might be
okay.
$500, it could be $2,000.
budget,
Budget committee, Joan,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes.
Bruce, yes, 3-4, 3 absent.
3 and 3 absent, okay. Whew. Okay. That takes the warrant articles. That brings us to our next to the last, sort of next to the last item. Carl Linville. Good night, Dan. Thank you. And then, so. Excise tax reimbursement request. Mary had mentioned this earlier, we have a request for reimbursement of, that we want to refund excise tax collected October 28th. His father passed away on December 2nd, and he would like us to refund the excise tax. And we have in here a copy of the death certificate and a copy of his letter. Mary, your recommendation is?
To not do it because you would set a precedence. It is transferable if they wanted to register a vehicle here, as long as he has, I would have to look, see whose name's on it. So it's only his name, it's not transferable. So
Okay,
I'm just saying you would set a precedence in doing so, and maybe have other people come forward with the same situation. But it is the board's decision.
any discussion? I move that we do not reimburse or refund the excise tax collected.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I vote yes. If you would let Mr. Linville know. Mary?
Yeah, yes, I will. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
I keep turning my
Okay.
button.
The last item under new business, the annual town report dedication and memorial. So maybe we do the memorials first, because that might be easier. And come back to discussion of dedication.
Doesn't. Are you set with a budget committee?
We are set with the budget committee.
Budget committee.
Thank you for your service.
you.
Thank you, Joan, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for coming.
So. Looking at, Mary has provided us with. The 36 people in town that we know of that passed away. And I only say that because someone could have died out of state and we not know about it, but to the best of our knowledge. Arthur Clark is on here, so I would think that as the holder of the Boston cane, maybe he should be one of the memorials. And, I don't know, I mean, I think of Don Lewis, because I know he was so involved, not when I was here, but apparently did a lot with the Little League.
Yeah.
So he might be a possibility.
He did the Little League, plus he was also the president of the Kenneth Workman Youth Sports Program for
Oh, okay.
4 or 5 years. He ran the program.
Okay, all right. I knew there were a lot of kids, even in his service, there were a lot of kids there, so.
Right.
And then. I mean, I could pick a couple more, but who else does someone else think?
Betty Cole. So Betty Cole was our postmaster for quite a number of years down to the depot post office. She was
Oh, really?
well known.
Okay.
I knew I remembered her name.
Yeah.
Okay,
The other one is Sandra Lewis, who was instrumental, and I know if Sharon is still there, she did a lot of work with the Belgrade Historical Society. A lot of the pictures that you see in that room, hanging up around the room, was done under Sandra Lewis's. Both her and Bob they're both were members of the Historical Society, and Bob still is. But I think that she should be recognized either as a memorial.
Okay. I think we had 4 or 5 last year. Is there anyone else that jumps out at anyone? Anyone? No. Melanie, anyone that you see that jumps out?
No, nothing that's
I
really.
mean, I had a couple that were old Belgrade names, but this gives us 4, so if we do Arthur Clark, Don Lewis, Sandra Lewis, and Lucy, no, and
Betty Cole.
Betty Cole, that's who I didn't have, yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay, so I move that for memorials in the town report, we use Arthur Clark, Elizabeth Cole, Don Lewis, and Sandra Lewis.
Second that.
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Okay. Now, might be a little more challenging. The dedication of the town report, the cover. So I know at the last meeting, we talked about maybe dedicating it to all the committee members. That helped, I think someone had suggested that as a possibility. I was thinking maybe for the cover, if we do a sunrise. We probably know a photographer who can make a really good sunrise picture on one of our lakes, and the sunset. So it's beginning and ending, and inside we're dedicating it to all the volunteers who work throughout the year for the town of Belgrade.
Should we have the photo that be from someone from Belgrade?
What?
Because we have some fabulous photographers. Should it be someone from Belgrade who does the photos for?
I don't, makes no difference to me. But I think, I just think we talk about what a beautiful town we have and all these people who work to keep it nice, and that maybe that's a way we don't have any one person that jumps out as a dedication this year. We dedicate it to all the committee members and.
And it might even encourage people to join a committee.
Yeah, maybe I get my name listed, but
I think I really like the idea of dedicating it to the volunteerism in town.
volunteerism, yeah.
You know, I mean, that's an important thing, because people give up years of their life doing this.
Yeah,
And we constantly remind people, oh, we'd like to have people join, you know, and so on, but it's hard to often recognize overtly that dedication that happens. So I like that idea, if we could do something like that.
And it looks like the last time volunteers as a group were recognized was in 1991,
a little while ago.
a little while ago.
Dan, do you have any other thoughts?
Works for me.
If it works for everyone, we'll make a motion and have it done. Okay, I move that we dedicate the town report to the volunteerism in Belgrade. And we use a sunrise on the front of the book and a sunset over on the back of the book.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor? Dan? Oh,
Yeah, I'm just looking back and see how kind of wrong you had.
oh,
Yeah, so it's using a picture that's.
yeah,
Shows all right. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
all right, Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Okay, I vote yes, so. Ooh, that went quicker than I thought it would.
I think these things are.
Because we're getting to the end.
We're exhausted.
But before we get done, Carol.
Yeah.
If the board doesn't mind, I'd like to go back to the articles I finally figured out, I had misread something on that shoreline zoning ordinance.
Okay,
So I'd just like to put my vote to the yes side.
oh, okay,
So, I mean, if we can just go back and rescind it and re-vote on it, so we can.
okay. All right. So do we need to revote or can we just note it?
Doesn't matter.
I think we do have to revote it.
I think so too.
We do need to revote it,
I
okay.
think so.
So I'm asking for the board's recommendation on article. Somebody help me now. Article,
I believe it's 9.
Article 9.
Yes,
So those in favor, Melanie,
so I make a motion, should we need
Rescind.
to rescind our vote, so I make a motion that I
Well-
rescind my vote from, how do I do it?
well, it's your recommendation, because we voted to
Yeah,
accept
it's
the
a
article.
recommendation, so.
So it would be to rescind the select board recommendation.
Okay, so I make a motion to rescind my.
To rescind the vote.
The
Okay,
vote.
So I make a motion that we rescind the votes on Article 9. So that we all rescind them.
Yes. I'll
So
second
there's
that.
a second, okay,
Yeah.
second.
Okay,
So
yeah.
now we all rescind our votes, so yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
So all in favor, Melanie,
yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan, and I'll vote yes. And now, all in favor of that article,
Yes.
Melanie says yes, Peter says
Yes.
yes, Barbara says yes,
Yes.
Dan says yes, I say yes. That's 5 yeses.
Wasn't quite easy peasy, but it was still easy.
Okay. Other business, is there any other business? Yeah. Think of any, but. Lauren, anything that came in last minute? No? Okay, then we're down to warrants. So, I move to approve warrant number 142 in the amount of $23,121.56. All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. 5 yes. I move we approve article number 143 in the amount of $37,644.08.
Second.
Okay. 143, oh, that's a payroll. Okay. All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. I move we that we approve article 144 in the amount of $1,927.28.
Second?
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. I move we approve article number 145 in the amount of $19,976.10.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. I move we approve article number 146 in the amount of $1,204.84.
Second?
19, I think the amount is 1962.
No, I have. Oh,
62 on this paper.
Yeah, on the.
Oh. it's not here, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, in the amount of
1962.
$1,962.42.
And I seconded, I'll second that new amount.
All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. I move we approve warrant number 147 in the amount of $76,492.48.
Second.
All in favor, or is there discussion? It's just sort of tidying up year end, huh, Lauren?
Yeah. Laura, things feeling good as we tighten things up. Besides the exhaustion that's associated with it.
See the bleary eyes.
Yeah. Getting there?
That's no comment.
Okay.
Okay,
One thing I don't see on here was the company that I work for, I told them to make sure they emailed you the bills for the fire department in town for Fire extinguisher, refills and testing, so you have them on this year's budget.
I haven't received
I
anything.
gotta email them out, so.
No.
I checked the other day. Mailed them out. I don't know where they went.
I don't have it, and the treasurer email doesn't have it.
I just don't see them on there, so I know they don't need to go on this last year's budget. Maybe,
Okay, well,
so.
all in favor of the warrant? Melanie?
Then again, I didn't
Huh?
receive.
Which one are we on?
We're on 147.
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes,
And I'll vote yes. I move we approve warrant number 148 in the amount of $17,886.
Second, I was like, which one this is that?
Okay, all in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
yes.
And I'll vote yes. That's 5 yeses. And now I move we approve warrant number 1 in the amount of $21,238.48.
Second,
All in favor, Melanie?
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes,
I'll vote yes. And I move we approve warrant number 2 in the amount of $96,014.20.
Second.
Any discussion on AP warrant number 2? If there's none, all in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
yes.
And I vote yes. 5 yeses, so that brings us to the town manager's report.
Attended the budget meeting December 16th, select board meeting the 17th, employee recognition and holiday luncheon on December 20th. Thank you to Carol Johnson and Leanne Newman for attending the holiday luncheon. The Center for All Seasons is working with the American Red Cross to host a blood drive on January 5th, that support. And today I posted, Kristen sent over information that the seafood place,
Red Barn.
is gonna have their food trailer outside of the center, to feed those who donate,
Right.
blood. So that's,
Wow, when will that be?
The 14th.
the 14th.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you
it's
can
a
also go and buy
Tuesday.
food too, right?
I don't know that.
I think so.
It's the 14th though, and there's a link, if you look on Facebook, or I can forward, there's a
Yeah.
link where you can, actually like make an appointment so that you can get.
Yeah,
Plus the other thing, if you donate blood in the month of January, you get in a drawing to go for get tickets to the Super Bowl.
I heard that. It's very exciting.
And,
okay.
we successfully closed the books for fiscal year 2024. We still have the open position of treasurer to fill. We are now focused on wrapping things up, for the year in the audit, getting ready for town meeting. We have a comprehensive plan meeting set for January 15 at 5:30. John Waterbury from MMA Risk Management Services will be here this month to meet with Facilities Director Corey Alexander and tour the North Belgrade Fire Station, North Belgrade Community Center, Sand and Salt Shed, Library, Depot Fire Station, and Center for All Seasons. Nomination papers are now available for select person and school board. Those are due back January 14th. Secret ballot referendum articles need to be ready the 14th, which you just wrapped those up. The warrant needs to be done for inclusion in the town report. We are shooting for the end of this month. The legal version does need to be posted 7 days prior. So even if you had a change last minute from what's in the town report, you could do that. We will have the library ordinance changes. We already did that. We will resume department and committee presentations in February as we will wrap up the budget and preparations for town meeting. All facilities are closed Monday, January 20, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Congratulations, the following lucky residents were drawn as winners January 2 from those who registered their four-legged friends. The dog basket winner was Travis and Caitlin Leask. $100 gift certificate to a vet. We had 5 of those winners: Polly Beatty, Sarah Langat, Tracy Wright, Jenny Williams, and Linda White. The basket was really nice. Mary did an awesome job on that. We're still on the radar, the Dalton Properties, town meeting, the 4-day work week review. We still need a water trustee. The short-term rental ad hoc committee, ARPA expenditures when the portal opens in April. Still monitoring the CBS grant, and Wes and Dan and Bruce set a meeting for the 22nd of January. That will be at 6:30 here. Central Seasons updates, plan and funding, the employee handbook, and then policies.
Risk management isn't visiting all our facilities.
They do some at a time. Yeah, the last time
Bruce
they
said
were here,
6:30 for that meeting.
they did chosen facilities. This year it's different chosen facilities. Yeah.
They're gonna have the plans,
Ooh,
and we should have.
it'll be exciting, huh?
Yeah, you'll have them sent out to you on the 17th.
Hopefully we'll get our grant before Elon Musk gets in there and cuts, he does this Doge thing and starts cutting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna have to provide that.
All right, I would just like to say, I know Lorna looks like she's fading fast, but Lorna's trying to do 2 40-hour jobs in 40 hours. And I just want to again, thank you, Lorna, for all the effort you're putting in, and we will help you as best we can. And we need to work that out. So,
Next question, have we done any applicants yet? None?
so,
Where, MMA, Indeed.
I don't have it on Indeed.
Okay, I thought we were putting stuff out to Indeed.
Indeed, you get people who aren't qualified.
Yeah,
You can get 100 applications and not one of them.
yep.
Thing is,
We've also found-
you're doing it through MMA and they're helping the search. A lot of times they put it out on Indeed. Cause I saw a couple of town managers job.
Oh, did you?
The other day that it's applied to MMA.
oh,
I
Yeah.
did put,
I think so, we
starting
should.
salary information as well, because we thought maybe that would help too.
What are we starting at?
Between 55 and 65, dependent upon experience.
So can we put it on Indeed as we have requested previously? That all the jobs that we have opened in the town of Belgrade, we had always posted them
we
on
can try
Indeed
it.
previously, Indeed, LinkedIn.
Doesn't
And
mean
then
you're gonna have to pull somebody in from an interview. Usually you can.
No,
tell
we
them.
write through the applicants and we'll send them a letter saying, thank you for your application. But choose not to interview at this time. Easy peasy, but.
at this point, I guess we need to try whatever
I
we
think
can.
pay for
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
position.
we've got to try whatever we can.
Yeah.
So, did we ever get the, from MMA, what the average
I don't know, did we?
treasurer position's getting on?
Did I not send that out to you?
I didn't hear.
I thought,
I read, I can't remember if it was in this meeting or in an email, I thought that starting wages for similar positions in other towns was higher.
I'm thinking, I don't remember seeing it, but I'm thinking starting pay is typically probably gonna be right around 65.
That's
So
what
I-
I think.
Most of you people that have to deal with finances.
So-
like that.
When it comes to the budgetary thing, the budget committee recommended more money for that position. I can't remember how much now, wasn't it 20,000?
Yeah, we added And the 55 to 65 is just starting in that, I
Right.
mean, if they have,
Yeah, you added 20 in,
obviously, if they have experience.
right,
Especially municipal, that bumps them up big time.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I think the 55 to 65, you're gonna have trouble, even if you find somebody good that doesn't have a lot of experience that really could learn it and learn it fairly quickly. I think the 55 is gonna hold you back. I think if they gotta deal with the headaches of keep track of all this money, I think you're gonna pay less than $65,000 to start.
I think we got it budgeted up to 80 something thousand.
I think we added 20.
Yeah.
Lord, I had it posted at 55. So we must, probably 75 is where we're at.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I can't, like I said, that's a month ago now.
Okay, I move we adjourn at 9:05.
Okay, so but are we in agreement? So we're gonna
Oh.
post the stuff on Indeed. We had an
Say
Indeed
right.
account previously.
Mhm.
I know Anthony, Dennis.
We do
Chris,
have an
Tony.
Indeed account, but when I get 100 applications a day, I don't have time to go through them all.
Why don't you,
And most of them are not qualified people.
okay, but Lorna, maybe that's something that Barbara and I can help you
They
with.
don't even live here.
Yeah.
Or
I know, but
close.
Let's find, get some help. to
We'll
go
get
through.
some help and you
We
put,
can look through.
you
these,
put
you know,
one of us as who the applications go to. We've got to try whatever we can to get you help.
We gotta get it filled.
And- They should not all come to you. If there's
And-
someone that looks possible, then it comes to you.
In the meantime, is there any way you can talk to a temporary service? And see if there's anybody out there that's working with something, even if it's part-time, that has some experience in it?
I've reached out to everybody I know.
So maybe we need to reach out to people we know.
We need to be reaching out,
Absolutely, because we need to get it filled.
right?
And we need to get it filled.
So if you know someone who works in finances, as a manager that has
I
financial
mean-
stuff,
Basically, you guys, to get this position filled, you guys are gonna have to steal somebody.
well, maybe we can do it without,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, may have, but we need to do something, and I haven't done anything. I was going to maybe call some accounting firms, and I know they don't know Trio, but to see if there's anyone that has, that they could come in, what would it take to get them, bring them up to speed with Trio? And I don't know the answer to that, but
And I think that's the biggest challenge, I mean,
It is.
you can find somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience in accounting, if they can learn, if they've got the capacity to learn Trio. Trio's gonna do a good part of it for you.
right, the
Just go-
challenge is
It's fine.
having time to train
To
someone
train
on
somebody.
Trio, and is that something Mary can help with? On training on Trio? I mean, I know she's got her plate full with town
It
meetings,
must be online tutorials or something.
I don't know, but,
Send me some.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, we gotta find somebody somehow.
right, because you can't keep going at the rate you're going.
So
Right.
should we also have it on LinkedIn? And does the town have an account on LinkedIn?
I mean, LinkedIn's probably better than
Yeah.
Indeed.
Do we have
It's more
LinkedIn?
professionals that are on
Not to my knowledge.
Oh,
But we should get it.
Yeah, I didn't.
I was looking on my list.
Professional.
well, maybe that's something one of us could do, is look at what it would take to get into LinkedIn. Barbara, and since you volunteered me for the other one, Barbara.
I don't know if it would help, but if any of us have LinkedIn, if we had a copy of that post.
Oh,
Cause I have a LinkedIn account, I'd be happy to put it out there and.
yeah,
Not that I have hundreds of followers.
Can you post, oh, so your followers would see it?
Yeah,
yeah,
and then they just network.
that does not work,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd be happy to put it.
I'm not on LinkedIn.
Just
Um,
one-
I'm not
I don't
LinkedIn
care.
anymore, I unlinked myself,
Yeah.
I may go link myself back again. Anyway,
Okay. So we're gonna-
all right.
Somebody I work for annoys me much more, I mean,
And you talked about, you had a motion to adjourn,
Adjourn,
And you
Oh.
got it.
right?
I did,
So I'll second that motion to adjourn.
all in favor, Dan,
yes.
Barbara,
Yeah.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
We'll adjourn.
and I say yes. We are adjourned. Okay. What's that? Okay. How, you're gifting on your knee, are you,
Right now, like the other one.
Bruce? How's your knee doing?